What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and here I am, as promised, on my Twitter doing a double upload for you guys, and in this short news video, I will be covering Fissure officially signing with the Vancouver Titans. It's kind of funny though, because this is actually a massive move, but it's almost been blown over in a way just because of the fact that Chipsa signed with the Fusion, and if you want to hear my thoughts on that, check out my previous video, but then all of that stuff with Jane happened on Twitter, and there's just been so much beef going on there, and it kind of feels like this move's been blown away. Plus, there's also the fact that we kind of have already known about this for a couple of weeks, well, at least the people who pay attention on social media that saw the leaks. So when you combine those two factors together, for some people this move really doesn't end up being as surprising or crazy as it should be, just because we've known about it for a while and we've already reacted to it, but still, nonetheless, this is really insane and we need to talk about it. First up though, let's look at the official social media post made by the Vancouver Titans. So here's what they had to say. It's official. Please help us welcome Fissure to the Vancouver Titans. We're excited to see some groundbreaking plays from this legend. So Fissure joins the Vancouver Titans. This is a very interesting move to say the least. And honestly, I think Fissure has the potential to fit in with this team just because he does have a similar playstyle to Bumper in the sense that they both like to be aggressive and make a lot of plays. Plus, we all know how skilled Fissure is. I'm not really sure how much of a difference there is skill-wise between Fissure and Bumper. You guys can be the judge of that. But overall, Fissure is a very mechanically gifted player, and when he's at his best, he is really scary, so this could be seen as a decent pickup for Vancouver. He has a good Winston, well actually, I take that back. He has an insanely good Winston, he has a good Reinhardt, his Orissa's okay as well. Overall, he just has a really good hero pool, and I think he probably has a better Orissa than Bumper overall. I'm not really sure what tanks are going to be playing in the meta in 2020, I think there's going to be a massive shakeup, but still, it seems like he has a slightly better hero pool compared to Bumper. The drawback of playing Fissure though is that, yes, he is a good leader, he's shown that in the past, but compared to Bumper, I'm not quite sure if he can really stack up with that, since Bumper has kind of been the heart and soul of the Vancouver Titans since the very beginning, and before that on Runaway, obviously, and just overall, he's a really nice guy. He seems like he's just the heart and soul, the leader of this team, the rock, the foundation. He's the guy that holds them all together. So what happens when you take that foundation away? Like, obviously, there is a chance that everything ends up fine, and Fissure is a perfect replacement for him. But you have to think of the drawbacks too, because Bumper, without him, things could end up falling apart. I know that he's not the best player on the team in most people's eyes, but he definitely has a lot of value because of what he brings in the leadership role. It still boggles my mind that the Vancouver Titans are looking to potentially replace Bumper with somebody else, because it's not like Bumper was a bad player, you know? He's not just a good leader. He's actually a really solid player. I know a lot of people make fun of him, say he's like a plat Reinhardt, he's way too aggressive, but the fact of the matter is he's actually a really good player, believe it or not. And if you want to talk about someone who's been experienced, Bumper is your guy. This guy's been through the ringer. He's played just about every position you can think of, and even after swapping to main tank now, he is still an excellent player. So why do the Titans want to get rid of that? There has to be something. There has to be some sort of internal issue that's pushing Bumper to just not be on this team anymore, potentially, right? I mean, what could it be? Are there potential personalities clashing with one another and some people just don't want Bumper on the team anymore? Does he not want to be on the team anymore? Is there some sort of disagreement that happened with him and the players or the organization perhaps? I just don't know. Or maybe the team just feels that they'd be better off with a different main tank and that Bumper isn't the answer. It's just so interesting to think about. I kind of feel bad for Bumper and I really hope that everything works out for him in the future, but focusing more in on Fissure now, I think this move is really risky. I'll be 100% honest. As mentioned earlier though, Fissure is really good. There's no denying that. He is mechanically gifted. He can hard carry you on any given night, any given map, doesn't matter what the circumstances are, as long as you devote your resources to him, he will pop off. But the question is, will he last? Friendly reminder that this will be Fissure's 4th Overwatch League team in 3 seasons. He's played for the London Spitfire and the Los Angeles Gladiators in Season 1. He played on the Seoul Dynasty in Season 2, and now in Season 3, soon to be, he will be on the Vancouver Titans. And if you look back at his career, he really didn't last long on any of his previous teams. With London, they wanted Gesture to be their main tank, so Fissure was just someone they wanted to trade away because they believed Gesture was their guy. Then he ends up on the Gladiators now, things are great, he's happy, the team's winning, but then they have this falling out towards the end of the year, and now bam, suddenly he's on the Seoul Dynasty for Season 2. At this point, it seemed like Fissure had finally found his home just because he was on a full Korean team now, he didn't have to worry about speaking English anymore, but the next thing you know, suddenly he gets benched in favor of Marvel because he's losing passion for the game. And eventually it got to the point where he just didn't want to play anymore, so he retired. He knew there was no point of even being on the Seoul Dynasty anymore because he had lost interest in the game. I remember after Fissure retired that he said he was going to be taking a break and that he would pursue some other passions. He said maybe he'd come back, but he felt like it wasn't likely, but here he is now all of a sudden. He had a change of heart, which I find very interesting. It's crazy to think that he went from wanting to compete and be a pro to just not caring anymore and wanting to retire, and then all of a sudden he wants to compete again. I'm assuming that's the main reason why he came back. He just missed the thrill of being a pro and competing against other really good players. Regardless of the reasoning, he's back, and now it's on the Vancouver Titans to make sure that nothing bad happens with him and that he can stay on track. We all know what he's capable of, though. We really do. He could end up working out for this team, and he could just be the driving force that helps them maybe even win a championship. But at the worst, things could go really bad, and this move could backfire massively. I have hope that Fissure could change, but I'm worried because he's had attitude issues in the past and ego issues. We saw it on the Gladiators. I think that's part of the reason that he ended up getting traded, or that he wanted to get traded for that matter, because ego. He didn't want to play for an English team anymore. He was getting mad. I don't know all of the details, but he wasn't happy there. So then he goes to Seoul. And now he's having attitude issues because he doesn't want to play the game anymore all of a sudden. And that could bring your team down in a way too. It's different, obviously, than arguing with people and just leaving the team on a sour note, but when you're sad and you don't want to play the game anymore, that can just bring everybody's mood downwards, you know? And nobody wants to play with somebody who's not enjoying the game anymore. If you don't have passion for the game anymore, then you shouldn't be starting, and rightfully so. That's why Marvel ended up taking his place. So, as far as I know, 2 out of the 3 teams that he's played for, there have been some sort of attitude issue with him. So I'm really concerned that this could be problematic for the Vancouver Titans as well. I'm really praying that it's not, because I want them to do well, and I want Fissure to do well. He's a fan favorite for a lot of people, but there is a possibility that this ends up being a mistake and that this move backfires greatly for the Vancouver Titans. Again, I don't know what happened internally. Maybe things changed over time, but from the looks of it, and based off of some of the rumors I've heard, Bumper really was the leader of that squad, and some people are not happy that he's potentially getting replaced. And I don't even want to know how this could potentially affect the comms and just scrims in general. I think there's a lot of issues that could be prevalent with this Fissure move. But if everything works out, he can stay okay mentally, and the team doesn't really suffer leadership-wise, then I think Vancouver could thrive from this move. Don't get me wrong. I don't think there's only risks that come with this. I think there is a chance that they benefit too. The question is, though, will the Vancouver players be able to rally around Fissure like they do with Bumper? I know that Fissure can be a high energy guy too. We've seen it with the Gladiators. They saw him as a leader in a way, and I'm sure they did on Seoul for a little bit before he lost passion for the game. So in an ideal world, this does work out, and Fissure does end up being a decent leader for these guys. But will they be able to accept him? Are some of those guys going to be salty because Bumper's gone now? I just don't know. There's a lot of question marks behind this move. The players on this team are still really good at the end of the day though, so they're going to give it their all, and they're going to make a lot of huge plays, and they're going to win some games. But with all of these personalities and really good players together, will any of them be butting heads with Fissure? Like, that's also something to consider thinking about. That's a possibility. I have my doubts, but as I've been saying, if this does work out and Fissure does not end up being problematic, I think this team really could thrive from having him on the squad. We've seen Fissure demonstrate leadership qualities in the past, and we know he's mechanically skilled at this game. So if he can just keep a level head and not want to get traded or not argue with anybody or ego anybody, or just lose passion for the game again like he did on Seoul, then this is going to be a great move for Vancouver, I think. It all really depends on if everybody can stay happy. I think that's the one big thing. If everybody can stay happy and the comms don't have any major setbacks or anything, Vancouver's going to be fine, and they'll be a really solid team once again in 2020. I think I've blabbered on just about long enough about this Fissure move, though. I think you guys get the idea at this point. I'll basically just be repeating myself. So it's a high risk, high reward type of move to summarize it. There's a lot of things that could go wrong, but if none of those things really do go wrong, then the payout will be massive. This Fissure signing is going to get a lot of talk, I feel, and there's going to be a bunch of question marks surrounding him until the league actually starts and we see what happens. But make sure to let me know what you think of Fissure signing with the Vancouver Titans down in the comments section, and where you think Bumper might end up going if he does get traded. Also, if you enjoyed this content, then I would appreciate it if you could hit the like button and sub to my channel if you're new. And if you want to further support me, feel free to follow me on Twitter at ATP Overwatch, or by joining my Discord server through the link in the description. As always, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.